So these are new revenue lines that would also be coming to the National Sports Authority to support some other works that they otherwise would be depending only on gate proceeds and maybe rental fees that they get. So we hope to improve upon our revenue mobilization when we add all these other sources. So the new Fees and Charges Act that will come before this Parliament for approval will have some of these things in it.
I believe probably that may suffice, but looking at now that we are going to implement it and the number of acceptance that people are going to have for it and the amount, I don't know how much we are putting the fees and charges to, but and looking at the numbers of these things that we have, we probably would wait and see. But I believe that once we have the plan, whatever it takes, because once we don't have proper studies, it becomes impossible for us even participating in some African Union tournaments and the rest. We are always up, down, coming to check our stadiums and the rest. But other countries do have that. But we'll back you on all fronts as to how you raise revenue to make sure that these stadiums and recreational centers are well maintained for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Minister, this is an existing revenue line in your act, and you haven't been collecting it as you are supposed to collect. But so if you say these are new revenue lines for you, how are you going to make sure this time you collect them, because it's been in your act for a while? So how are you going to, what measures are you putting in place to make sure that this time you collect what is due you?
Thank you very much. Education is one step. So we have decided that this month, November and December, the National Sports Authority, together with the ministry, will embark on some massive education. We're going to do this in conjunction with the Ghana Tourism Authority. We are not going to do it alone because they already manage and supervise these bodies that we are going into. So we're going to do it with them. So for every platform that they have, we would also be there to let them know that there's a component that must go to the National Sports Authority. So once we do this and the education is clear, I believe that we'll be able to now collect what has been in the act that we have not been collecting.
I'm happy you are going to embark on education first, because this is my first time of hearing that even the fitness centers are supposed to pay monies to the Sports Authority. So a lot of people don't know. Once you embark on that, I believe people will do the needful, because they don't know, they are not paying. But once you bring it to their attention and knowledge, they will pay. So well done, and I hope that come next year, when we look at your IGF, a chunk of it will come from these lines. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The next one is on revenue generation, and Honorable Hotoje will ask questions on.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Minister, you are welcome.
Thank you.
One of the key issues raised in the follow-up report has to do with revenue generation and control mechanisms. The auditors have realized that the National Sports Authority had not ensured that the commercial facilities at the 5 stadia were being used to generate revenue, to ensure the physical and financial sustainability of the stadia. Can you speak to that issue?
To a large extent, we received these findings, we've looked at it, and what we do know, steps taken. One, the fixed asset coordinating unit of the National Sports Authority have been deployed to effectively assess these assets and to consider their true value, and also to look at potential programs and activities that can be done, and also not necessarily to wait for people to come and rent, whether even as National Sports Authority itself, we can drive activity and programs towards our facilities. So it will result in increase in what? Revenue. So we're looking at many options to be able to drive revenue and ramp it up a bit so we can do what is expected of us.
Mr. Minister, this is something they have pointed out. Does it mean that is what you are doing now? And what prevented other officials from doing that in the past? Because if you know the cause of a sickness, you prescribe the appropriate medication. What prevented the officials who have been there from carrying out all these things so that we do not lose revenue, but rather you are now putting it in place?
Mr. Chairman, what prevented them from doing it will be difficult for me to tell. What I can say is that we are working very hard to do what must be done, to do the needful so as to keep our facilities up to standard. We do not want it to get to the point where the auditors found what they found. So we're working very well. And we will request support from this committee and the House also, generally, because in doing all these, we will need the necessary support from Parliament and other sectors. And I do believe that you come in handy to help us. Thank you.
Taking the necessary steps to generate the revenue is one issue, but putting in place the control mechanisms. In your statement, you only spoke about ways of generating the revenue. Have you thought of putting in place mechanisms that will make sure that the revenue so generated is protected and used for what it is meant to use for?
So there are a number of steps that we are also introducing. And when we improve networking, which we haven't completely done yet, ticketing to our stadia facility during games time will no longer be 100% manual, where somebody can go and before you realize some people are printing something else and selling that one other than the real ticket. So you see the numbers at the stadium, but then when it comes to accounting for the money, less is presented. So we want to do some e-ticketing that brings about a lot more transparency. Aside that, when the money gets into the coffers, its use must follow through the standard accounting procedures and the financial regulations act that exist in this country. So you can't just take and spend anyhow. So where the threshold is way above, for example, the National Sports Authority, the ministry will have to come in and give the necessary approval. Very soon also, we will inaugurate the board for the National Sports Authority, and they would also perform their appropriate duty. We will see to it that they perform what they are supposed to do and to engender and improve the transparency and accountability processes, which the honorable member is so concerned about.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. At least you've made my day. Mr. Chairman.
All right, Honorable Akwesi Kwenedu has a question.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, on a point of follow-up on my colleagues on, and it's all about financial sustainability. I think the auditors, in one of their findings about financial sustainability of your firm and hiring of these event centers or the parks for events, found out that you do not have a register for patrons or guests who hire these places for purposes for which they use it for and for the amount they use for, such that if there are any defects that are attributable to the events that they had, you can trace it back to them, and also for auditing purposes, because you will not be at all the stadiums. But once you have such a document, it would help you to review all the things that may have happened in them. They said you do not have that. Currently, what is the status? Do we now have such a register to contain this information to facilitate your plans?
Thank you very much, Chairman. That is the case. Now we have. Not only do we have it entered manually, but it's also digitized. It's digitized. So after every event, even there are follow-ups to go and even check and make sure a report is done, and then you get cleared before you can go. So that is in place. Seriously, that is in place.
All right. We have other oversight responsibilities. Honorable Abena Osei-Asare will continue with it.
Honorable Minister, the auditors said 15 recommendations were given, 1 to the Sports Ministry and then 14 others to the National Sports Authority. And this is to ensure fiscal and financial sustainability. We have gone through quite a number of them. And so my colleagues and I will go through the recommendations one after the other, and then you tell us. But I think when it comes to the implementation of the national sports policy, you mentioned the fact that it's still in the draft stage and you work on it to make sure it happens. I just want to ask you, can you give us a time frame? Because it's been like this for a while. So that if you can give us a time frame as to when the draft will become an actual policy, it will help us and also help the auditors to take this off the recommendations that they gave you.
Thank you very much. The only reason that the policy is still in the draft, the final stage of it being a draft, is because of the realignment that we've had at the ministry. Now, recreation has been given a very high consideration. So we needed to factor that also into the policy. Previously, that was not so highlighted. The president also gave indication that he wants us to establish a school sports agency that will be responsible for school sports. So it will no longer be something the Ghana Education Service alone will be doing, where if they don't have time, it goes off. If they don't have money, it goes off. So an agency of a sort would have to be put in place that will be responsible for school sports and grassroots sports. We needed to factor all these into the draft policy as it existed. So I can assure you that before our next meeting, hopefully if they haven't done the audit already and waiting to submit another report, maybe after the one that they will be submitting, you will not see this situation occurring anymore.
You, Minister, you know the audit line, so give me a date. Minister, you know the auditors are bound by time. By March of next year, they have to start looking at the accounts, and then by June, end of June 2026, they are supposed to submit their reports to Parliament. So based on these timelines, when do you think you can give us the policy?
Well, we're sure that before the end of first quarter next year, the policy should be ready as a full policy and not in the draft state anymore.
Thank you very much. So please let's take note. The first quarter, end of the first quarter of 2026. Thank you very much, Minister. And I know that because you were a member of this committee, you will stand by your word and deliver as well. Thank you.
He will, because he's taking us to World Cup. The next one is on NSA board should revise the existing corporate plan or develop a new one to provide NSA with a strategic direction. And the auditors are saying that they found that NSA had developed a medium-term development plan for 2022 to 2025. which aimed at providing strategic direction for the authority. What says you, sir?
So, Mr. Chairman, like I said earlier, some more work has been done, but the board is yet to be inaugurated. We're going through the processes. As you know, you have to submit the names. There it goes to the Council of State. They will look at it, and then the responses will come. Then you now inaugurate them. We are yet to inaugurate the board, the governing board for the National Sports Authority. And I believe immediately we inaugurate them, one of the first responsibilities, Chairman, will be to conclude on this subject to further extend this plan. So we will take it seriously.
Now, let's look to another recommendation that they gave.
Right. Minister, and still on the failure of the NSA to draw up annual plans from the corporate plan and put in place mechanism for implementation. The audit team still finds that your headquarters, the NSA headquarters, and the regional offices that they visited do not have, they have annual plans for implementation of maintenance and revenue generation activities. But the NSA has not prioritized drawing up annual plans. They do not have the annual plans. And there's no priority, there's no urgency, nobody really cares about annual plan at the National Sports Authority. What is it that has changed?
I would have left this for the Director General, but what I know as a sector minister is that this is something that they have taken seriously, to the extent that they have even recommended for an appointment of an office, Chief Operation Officer, so to help in the execution of some of these situations. So like I said, once the board is put in place and the approval is given to these recommendations for various offices and structures that is being created, then we will go ahead to have full implementation. So there are really serious plans in place to deal with some of these findings.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right, the next responsibility will be handled by Honorable Adam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, per the recommendations of the auditors, by September 2025, which elapsed about 2 months ago maybe, the Ministry of Youth and Sports was asked to finalize and approve the draft National Sports Policy for the National Sports Authority Board and management to implement. You already mentioned that the committee should give you up to the end of first quarter 2026 to finalize it. But when the recommendation was made, as a ministry, what assurance can you give the committee and the people of Ghana that indeed you have been unable to meet this particular timeline as set in the recommendation, but the new one that you have promised the committee, you will be able to meet it?
Well, so I just indicated clearly that there are things that must be done to make the policy useful. Once there's a certain introduction of other sectors within the sport, we can present it as it was without factoring those ones. So once it hasn't been concluded, let's add that and make sure that we have a whole document that will deal with every aspect. So the school sports and the grassroots sports component is going to be added, and by the end of the first quarter, we'll have the policy in place.
All right, Minister. some of the maintenance of the stadia. NSA should request for the operations and maintenance manuals from the contractors who constructed the stadia. You have any questions, any answers on that one?
Chairman, like I said, there were a number of the contractors. Some of these stadia facilities were constructed many years ago. Some levels of renovations have been done. The most recent, you have Micheletti, Consa, who have done some work or the other. So the parts that they get involved in, Mr. Chairman, they always give us a manual. But you cannot have the entire manual for the stadium as it was from freshly constructed for most of these facilities. So what we have done is to develop a standard one for all of these facilities that we have based on the best practices which we are using.
Okay, now there is one over here that says NSA should refund amount of 183,494 used for the National Sports Festival to management of Babayaya Sports Stadium to enable it to replace the broken seats.
Mr. Chairman, this one I will let the accountant respond. But what I can say is that it's been cleared by the auditors subsequently. And so, but let the internal auditor speak to it, and then the external auditors may confirm or deny. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, there was an event at Kumasi, and the proceeds was paid into the NSA headquarters account. So the auditors were recommending that the proceeds should be given to NSA, the Kumasi branch, so that they can. So what was done is the fact that the proceed was utilized to maintain. The recommendations are that the proceeds should be given to Kumasi to maintain the covers, and that has been done. And the auditors can confirm that.
Auditors, could you confirm, please?
Yes, Honorable Chair, the initial recommendation was for them to refund, but we realized upon follow-up that they have used the same amount to do the replacement of the seats and the necessary maintenance at the stadium. So we accepted that position. And as far as we are concerned, the issue is resolved. Thank you.
Okay, the next one will be by Honorable Kinney. And that will be VII.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
Congratulations for making Ghana proud and making us qualify for the World Cup. Uti is indeed proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was recommended by the Auditor General that we should allocate a percentage of the revenue guaranteed from each activity for the maintenance of the stadia and ensure that organizers of the programs are held responsible for damages caused at the stadia. And it's been done. Congratulations for that once again.
Okay, go with your question.
Minister, as my colleague said, you've done it. But I'm seeing 20,000 security, refundable security. Is it so okay? Is the amount okay, or you are thinking of increasing it from 20 to a different amount? Is it okay?
I didn't get your...
The question is, follow up on my colleague's this thing. The auditor says you allocate a percentage, which you've done. And also you take a refundable security of 20,000 from the event planners or those who come to use the stadium. My question is the 20,000 security refund, is it okay? Is it sufficient now? Is it serving the purpose? Or you are thinking of increasing it to a different amount?
If you analyze the situation, especially our Category A facilities, it's on the low side. And so we're still having a conversation, and we will see what can be done to up this amount, because it's really on the low side if you look at our Category A facilities.
All right. The next member to ask questions is Honorable Ahenkwa, and it's on number 14.
Thank you, Chairman. The auditors noted that the Accra and Kumasi Sports Stadia had all electrical installation protected with plastic trankings to avoid corrosion and exposure to electric shocks. The Tamale and Takoradi Sports Stadia were undergoing major renovation. However, there was no information on the scope of works to indicate that the electrical works will be catered for. The recommendation: the National Sports Authority should request for operation and maintenance manuals from the contractors who constructed the stadia and put together a team of experts to evaluate. Okay, so how far with the electrical installations?
Thank you very much. So, like you rightly said, Accra and Kumasi, the Babayara Stadium is okay. The problem was to do with Esipon, the Takoradi Stadium at Esipon, and also the Aliu Mahama Stadium in Tamale. Okay. In the case of the Takoradi Sports Stadium at Esipon, works is still ongoing. And if you look at the works that is supposed to be done, it includes covering all the electricals and everything. So that would also be done by the time the work that is ongoing is completed. The Aliu Mahama Sports Stadium work is yet to start. So that is still having in its the state that it was, with some very minimal adjustments done. We do hope that with some funding support, we will move to Aliu Mahama Sports Stadium to start some work also. As colleague members of Parliament, you may be aware that this year, the Ministry of Sports and Recreation had no capex to do any infrastructure work. So we could not award any contract to do anything yet. It's just the ongoing ones. But the 2026 budget that is yet to be presented, if you approve, there will surely be something in it for the Sports and Recreation Ministry to also engage in some capex work. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. The next member is Nancy AJ to ask a question on number 15.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Minister. This is on revenue generation and control mechanism. It says that all the NSA should collaborate with management of the stadia to conduct market survey with a view to develop price list and revenue targets for each stadium for implementation. It's been realized that you have done the collaboration, but what is lacking now is the developing revenue targets. So when you go to the status status of implementation, it says partially implemented. Yes, may we know why it's still partially implemented? Thank you.
So thank you for this question. Like I indicated earlier, the FASU unit of the National Sports Authority have done some great work. We've also looked at the various potentials of various facilities, and also when the fees and charges act that will be the new one that will be passed, would also see some upgrade of what in terms of the amounts. The challenge, the genuine challenge, however, is that it's difficult to isolate each facility and say, for this one, they will charge this, and maybe Cape Coast will charge this, Babayara will charge this, and Aliu Mahama will charge that. We are not able to isolate individual facilities. And so what we have is general fees, like maybe...
Minister, respectfully, why are you not able to give cost to the various stadiums? Because they offer different facilities. So it shouldn't be that difficult.
So, Honorable Chair, if you look at what we inherited, there was a fixed fee for stadia facility. So whether it is Accra or there's a certain range within which you will take. That's what I'm saying. It's so difficult now. But we are working it out to see how we can do it. Because even some of the community facilities are under the National Sports Authority. Like some of these astroturfs are even under the National Sports Authority. And we must give fees that will be charged even as low as that level. So we are working out something to be able to get specific charges for specific facility and not what it is that we inherited. That's why we said it's partially implemented, because we haven't fully done so.
Okay, the next one is on 16, and Honorable Enim Ennis will take care of that one.
Thank you, Chairman. Minister, the auditors recommended that NSA should put in place mechanisms to assess the financial performance of the stadia periodically to ensure that revenue targets are met. What is the status of implementation at this point?
I will let the Director General speak to this one because there's some work ongoing. They haven't submitted the current report to me yet, and unfortunately, I didn't have a conversation with them before this. So I will let him, since he's here himself, to speak to that quickly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Currently, the NSA is putting through a number of new measures, and these are based, as the Minister earlier said, on best international practices. And so when that document is concluded, it will be submitted to the Honourable Minister, and this will be the implementation of all the stadia across Ghana. So currently, we're in that process of putting together the precise document to ensure that these new, patterns that we found in attendance, in events at venues and others, we'll be able to put together something that is accurate and then present it to the Honourable Minister.
Okay, Minister Oyao, I just want to know, would you be able to give the committee some timelines within which this report we are referring to would be submitted to the Minister?
Yes, we're still engaging with the Honourable Minister because we found there's a new pattern of fans where if it's the Black Stars, you have a different, demography, when it's the Ghana Premier League, when it's women's football, when it's domestic non-football events. So we're trying to put all this together, which will give us a fairer idea of exactly what to do in order to maintain it, upgrade, and also encourage more people to attend. And then that would help in also maintaining our facilities.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. But then one thing I've also noticed is that a lot more times activities such as religious activities and these entertainment activities do take place at these stadia. And when you see the numbers compared to even the numbers that attend to football games, you can see that we can generate more on the religious and entertainment side. So we should take all these into consideration in coming up with these mechanisms for setting up all these standard rates. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is on number 17. So NSA should find alternative uses for the shops and enter into a formal tenancy agreement with all tenants.
So that has been done generally, and we issued directive that especially some have taken these shops and are using them for other purposes far away from sports-related activities. Some actually turn them into warehousing, or yes, all kinds of things, and that is being corrected now. And for expired tenancy agreements, new ones have been done.
All right, Honorable Hotager, you have 18.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the auditors have recommended that the National Sports Authority should use the available advertising spaces to advertise the commercial facilities at the stadium and rent out the remaining space. How far have you gone with that?
So I'm very much aware that the NSA have had engagement with some of these advertising companies. I must say that this is not something that we have completed, done to its completion, but it's still an ongoing work. You would observe that if you drive around the Accra Sports Stadium, you see multi-choice advertised on the, yes, they've had some standing arrangement which has expired, and so there is a conversation also going on with them, and we will utilize the spaces that we have very well and to generate revenue for the state, and especially also for NSA and its activities.
Yeah, I understand that it is a process, not an event. Looking at the pace at which it is being done now, will you be in the position to give a timeline within which it will finish, or it will come to conclusion?
Mr. Chairman, considering that it is money, I would have wished we had concluded yesterday. But you know that these things you have to negotiate. You would, because these are also partners that you have worked with. They also do certain things for you. You utilize their platforms also to promote and project your sporting activities. And so we are in a conversation. I can assure you that we will do what must be done, and within a time that will give us also advantage.
Honorable Member, this report, there's an observation from 2019 to 2024. And you want the minister to have completed all these in 2025. He's thinking about Black Stars. All right, Madam, go ahead.
Ignore ranking, eh? Don't mind ranking. No, Minister, it's just that he expects more from you, that's all. And so you should allow and understand, because he knows you can do it. And that's why he's expecting more from you. So see it in that light. Yes.
Thank you.
Minister, the auditors also said that as part of their recommendations, you should have a guest or a patron register. I believe it will help you raise more revenue, because once you have them and there are matches, there are events going on, you can reach out to them and they can also patronize these things. So when I want to find out if you have that, that register, and whether per their recommendations. Also want to find out the period of usage and then the amounts they usually pay, and then you can categorize them. Because I know that for some of the, how do you call them? The sports fraternities, like the tennis, they have some of these things. They reach out to you. There's an event, there's this, there's that. Are you interested? Can you come and register for a year to do this, to do that, take advantage of the facilities and everything? So I believe that will raise some monies. Here you are looking for monies to do a lot of things. And I think this morning I also saw one news item where the NSA, the National Sports Authority director says he will do everything possible to maintain the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex. So these are some of the ways you can raise money to help you do that. So I just want to find out if it's been done.
Honorable Chair, you are so right. And that is one of the assignments that we've set for ourselves, to make sure that we have this guest list, not just even for local. We are trying to go even beyond Ghana and to see other bigger events organizers who do events, to lobby them that our facility is also available, that they can come and have events here. Aside that, we are also working to capture data of funds so we can categorize them, because we've observed that fan bases are a major way of raising revenue for sporting-related activities and sports stadium maintenance-related actions. So we are interested in even going beyond these guest lists to even fans, to capture their data so you can communicate with them. That we will not just treat fans like, okay, there's a game, you've bought a ticket, come and watch. We want to have a certain relationship with them, so they become part and parcel of the process. So the traffic that we've started generating doesn't go low. We want to maintain that interest. We want to link it up with other businesses that are around. And so we're working out something that when we come out with the details later, it will blow your mind, Madam Chair. Thank you.
When it comes to money, nothing blows my mind up. Because we need more money to develop, the sports industry. So we are with you in this, and we'll support you to make it happen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Honorable Kenny will take paragraph 20.
Honorable Minister, you were asked to negotiate a payment plan with the utility providers for the settlement of utility arrears to avoid disconnection. How far have you gone about that?
Well, we have implemented these also, and that's why at least we have had some stability of power for some time now.
Thank you.
That was short and sweet. That was good. Honorable Cletus, you do paragraph 21.
Thank you, Chairman. Minister, during the audit review, NSA had not initiated the completion of the hostel facilities, 44 rooms at Tamale and Takoradi Stadia. The Tamale and Takoradi Sports Stadia were undergoing major renovation, but there was no information on the scope of works to initiate that the hostel facilities would be completed.
So, Honorable Chairman, this whole Tamale Stadium massive renovation thing, about 2 months ago, a committee of parliament actually invited my ministry and to come along with the National Sports Authority on a supposed PPP arrangement for hostel facility at that stadium. However, our checks, we followed through, we asked everybody around and for all information, we did not really find any such arrangement. It is true that we have some lands there, and the intention is to be able to add hostel facilities to it, so that even when teams have to go and use the stadium for any activity, they will not be sleeping elsewhere, but they will just utilize the hostel facilities that are close to the stadium. So we will be going back into the drawing board and reassemble these and resubmit through the Ministry of Finance under the PPP arrangement. So we will come very clear to be able to deal with these Babayara hostel activities.
Yes. Minister, if you look at page 39, you look at recommendations, status of implementation, you will see that partially implemented, not implemented, implemented, partially implemented, not implemented. You've read that very well. Can you speak to it? Yes.
I've indicated anywhere you see partially, meaning that we are aware of the issue, we have taken some steps, but we haven't concluded the process. That is why we indicate partial. But where we have done everything, you will see that it is implemented.
All right, Madam, conclude.
Okay, so Honorable Minister, thank you so much. The auditors are saying that out of the 15 recommendations, 5 have been fully implemented. 6 have not been implemented, but today you have given us adequate updates on how you're going to do that. And then 3 have also been partially implemented. Again, you have also told us. But we want to encourage you that, you know, Ghanaians love sports. They love their football. They love the other sports. So we want to encourage you to make sure sports really becomes a recreational activity. And it will also help prevent a lot of diseases and illness. So we're not just using it to, have fun, but also to prevent and also help us live long. Yes. So we want to support you. We'll support you in the fees and charges that you are bringing to Parliament. We'll support you with the other measures that you want to put in place to make sure you boost your revenues. And so our hands are open. Anytime you can call on us. And thank you very much for attending upon us and giving us very elaborate descriptions of what you are doing there and how you are hoping to fully implement all the 15 recommendations. And I'm not surprised that you used to be a member of this committee. Keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister, we have 2 public interest questions, and OPK will start with it.
Thank you. Minister, so there are 2 issues. One has to do with some sporting facilities that were awarded during the the $1 million implementation program of the previous administration. Some sporting facilities, renovation and all of that were part of the projects. Now, it seems the money to renovate these projects were inadequate. And so contractors come to site, they are unable to do 10% of the project. And with the funding not coming, now nothing really is going on these sites. There has been instances where communities are willing to even develop those sporting facilities themselves. But because they are under contractual obligations, it becomes difficult for them to do that. What steps is your ministry taking to do that? You can tie that to Nkoko Sports Stadium. There's been a lot of talk about Nkoko Sports Stadium. We know that our colleague, Honorable Brian Champon, began renovating the Nkoko Sports, or constructing, it wasn't even renovating, constructing a new stadium. But along the line, the project stalled because of some disagreements with the National Sports Authority. Are you able to tell us what the current status is? And I want you to marry the two so that we get to understand the issues.
On the Nkoko Stadium, I will let the Director General deal with. But in the general answer to community participation in infrastructure development, let me use this great platform to appeal to community, corporates, both public and private, to actually come on board to partner government in executing some of these projects. If there's any community that is willing to support, whether financially or with labor or anything material, the ministry is prepared to have that engagement and to see how it can work within the existing contract, because we invite that seriously. And so I thank you for the question that you've asked in that.
Before the NSA boss comes in, so with this invitation, who do we go to? So for instance, in Patron Sports Stadium, we want to develop. Do we talk to the municipal chief executive, or do we go to the Ministry of Sports, or we get to the National Sports Authority?
I will advise, initiate a conversation at the local level, and it will be transmitted to the appropriate points where there's a need to deal with any higher level beyond the local level. Because for every project that is in a district, the local government structure there is aware of it. Whether they are doing it or somebody else is doing it, they will have knowledge of it. So if you approach them, they will then relate to the appropriate agency. So the best place to go to is your district assembly to start the engagement from that level.
Honorable Member, sometime in September 2020, the then Minister for Youth and Sports cut sword for the reconstruction of the Nkoko Sports Stadium. The project was awarded to Fahadel Company Limited and was said to cost 27 million Ghana cedis. It was to be funded by the Middle Belt Development Authority. The project, however, stalled along the line, and per documents or reports presented to me, there was no specific reason given. Sometime in 2025, when we were appointed, it came to the attention of the NSA that Honorable Brian Champon was developing the Nkoko Sports Stadium. So the NSA met with the Honorable Brian Champon and requested for documentation that allowed him to do the work, since there was, no documentation. Since then, the NSA has met with the Omahene of Kwewu, and we've had discussions on the way forward. There is no conflict or crisis. It's about legality, it's about the law, and it's about having documentations that would safeguard Honorable Brian Champon's work, or whoever wants to develop national assets. So hopefully we will hear from the Omahene and Mr. Brian Champon, and we'll be able to have a discussion to further plans to develop the Nkoko Sports Stadium.
Thank you, Minister. And I think that in the spirit of what the minister, the invitation that the minister gave, that communities should get involved in developing, I know that he started a project due to one or two disagreements. The project stalled. I'm also aware that the seats for the stadiums that he imported from China are in town. And so please kindly get in touch and let's ensure that we have the Nkoko, because our co-united cannot continue to be at the Division 2 and Division 1. We know that if anybody climbs that mountain, no matter what you do, you fall. So we need that stadium like yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And also a big thank you to the Honorable Minister for the guidance in this issue. I think the media, a bit of mischief, social media, and I would like to commend the Omahene and also Honorable Brian Champon for communicating, and I'm sure in due course they would update us so that work can begin again. Thank you.
All right, the next question is from Honorable Adam Agman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable Minister, the deplorable condition of the whole sports stadium is of major concern to residents of the Volta region and beyond. I want to find out from you whether or not you are fully apprised with the state of the stadium and what concrete and immediate steps the ministry is taking to restore that critical sporting facility. Thank you.
So, thank you. Two things are happening in the Volta region, specifically between Adaklu and then Ho. There is a youth resource center project in Adaklu near Ho that we want to make sure that it is also completed and put to good use. Again, the 8 stadia promised by His Excellency the President, 6 for the new regions, and then 2 more to be done for the old regions that really do not have what we can so properly called a stadium, Upper East and Volta region. Especially that, as we speak now, Volta region have 2 teams in the Premier League, the Bando House of Lions and Hohoe United. So the Volta region and Ho Stadium, for that matter, will benefit from these planned projects. So the Minister for Finance in his budget will be making some announcements, and we'll see what we can start with next year and what can be added in subsequent years. So we are very much aware. We have had a series of engagements. We've sent a number of persons to that facility to look at. The NSA has gone in there. The regional minister has extended invitation to NSA again, and we are very much aware. It all boils down to the resources, but there's a certain level of commitment to give all these regions their high-level stadia facilities. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a follow-up, a quick follow-up, please. So, Honorable Minister, thank you for the answer. It gives hope that the ministry intends to do something about it. But just for the sake of clarity, if I listen to you carefully, it means we will be benefiting, or the region will benefit from a new stadium and not a renovation of the existing one. I just want that clarity for the sake of our engagement.
Well, whatever it is, the outcome is that we will have a stadium that will be far better than what it is that we have today. Whether it is the old one that will be put in good shape or it's a new one, we will have a stadium that is described as a stadium. That I can assure you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. I will be following up to see the progress of work. Thank you.
Hold on. Honorable Minister, you and your team, you are discharged. Now
Thank you very much.
Let's call Ministry of Lands, please.
Yes, let's go.
I
Yusuf Suleimana,
swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable Minister, could you introduce yourself and allow your other colleagues to introduce themselves?
Chairman, my name is Yusuf Suleimana, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and the MP for Bole Bamboy. I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves, starting from my left.
Respectfully, Mr. Chairman, my name is Joseph Iroko, Manager Legal, Minerals Commission.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm Nelson Ahedo, Director for Small Scale Mining, Minerals Commission.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Emmanuel Osekesi, Director of Finance, Minerals Commission.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Emmanuel Enyima, Deputy CEO, Minerals Commission Support Service.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Isaac Tando, Acting CEO, Minerals Commission.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Campbell Kujuenpi, Deputy Manager, Internal Audit, Minerals Commission.
All right, Honorable Minister, we are reviewing this report, that's performance audit of report of Auditor General on regulating small-scale mining for sustainable environment. And this is a report from 2019 to 2024. Honorable Abena Oseasar will start.
Yeah, so in 2019, the Auditor General carried out a performance audit on regulating small-scale mining for a sustainable environment. And in 2024, they commissioned a follow-up audit on the recommendations that they gave. And according to the reports, they were able to review documents and interview key officials. And based on that, they realized that for the small-scale mining regulation, 86% of the recommendations had been fully implemented. In that, they had a total of 29 recommendations. Of the 29, 25 had been done. Minerals Commission was responsible for 14 of those recommendations, and then Environmental Protection Agency was responsible for 11 of the recommendations. They also realized that 2 of the recommendations had been partially, so each of the organizations had partially implemented 2 of the recommendations. And so today we are here to go through, for you to also give us an update. We all know the issue of small-scale mining and how it is hurting, the Galamsey part of that is hurting our communities. And so we want to be as frank as possible. Where you need our support to guide you, to help you undertake a certain recommendation, please feel free to let us know. When it comes to Galamsey, the Public Accounts Committee is here to support and make sure we succeed as Ghanaians to solve these huge problems. So as part of the recommendations, the auditors mentioned that Minerals Commission did not carry out detailed geological investigations at the 113 designated small-scale mining areas before allocating them to the miners. The Commission failed to recommend to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to gazette the 113 areas designated for the small-scale mining. One, I want to find out what the update is now, and then I can move on.
Chair, let me commend you for your assurance that this committee, your Public Accounts Committee, will support the government and, for that matter, the ministry when it comes to the issue of illegal mining. I'm here to hear from any Ghanaian who says that he won't support us in this fight. But the truth of the matter is that we are the very people who are also involved in this illegal mining. And so the pretense sometimes is even the problem. I'm very certain that there's a paradigm shift, and we will get to the bottom of this issue. Having said this, I now want to commend the auditors for a good job done. Indeed, when the minister, and let me state that I'm here on behalf of my able Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa, who is the MP for Elembelem. As we speak today, he's not around, and that is why he's asked me to step in. I'm commending the auditors for a good job done. When he took over, these issues that were unraveled by the auditors are the issues that he was confronted with. And so he sought permission from the president and inaugurated a committee to review the small-scale mining licenses. And I'm happy to announce that I was the one that he asked to chair it. And so these issues that the auditors raised surfaced. We have significantly resolved them, and will continue to resolve them. Now to your specific issue of a detailed geological investigation that was supposed to be carried out by Minerals Commission before designating small-scale mining areas, some achievement has been made. And even as I speak to you, Gold Ball is advancing funds to Geological Survey Department, Authority, to be able to identify more mineralized areas to resolve this matter further. But as I speak to you, a significant achievement has been made in that respect.
So, out of the 113, how many of these sites have been gazetted, since you said a significant
Indeed,
number
all of them
have been
gazetted. It's fully implemented. If you look at the reports that we have here.
I was expecting you to share it with us, because for the public, I don't think most of them will have the reports. So that's why I asked the question, giving you that opportunity to share with us.
Yeah, so, Chair, this is the report that you hold there. And so all those that have been fully implemented have been ticked. And so if you go through, you realize that this particular infraction is being ticked as
yes,
fully
but,
implemented.
We are also sharing this with the public. That is why I'm asking, if truly it's been done, can you please go ahead and confirm?
Yes, so for instance, we have a community called Accra Town, 0.20 size of land has been geologically identified and worked on, and that is around Wasa East. You have Ajuma DM, which is also 31.24 at Asunafun South. You have Akaso, which is 50.35, Amanse Central, Adanse South, and Obuasi Municipal Assembly. Then you also have Bonfa, which is 22.9 at the Jesu Joabin. And then you have Wumase, which is 40.11, and so on.
Minister, so out of the 113 that they identified, I just want you to confirm that they have been done. You just read out 144.8 out of the 150 that they said they had already done. But I'm asking specifically to the 113.
Chair, my earlier response was that all the 113 had been implemented. I mean, the implementation of that particular infraction was fully adhered to. You requested for perhaps the list, and I've mentioned some here. We may perhaps have to give you that comprehensive list because it's not everything that is captured here. But I think the auditors will.
That is what I'm going to. I'm going to go to the auditors to confirm
we have
whether the 113 sites have been gazetted as you recommended.
Honorable Chair, that has been done. All the 113 have been gazetted. Thank you.
So, Honorable Minister, the next question is, we know the right thing. Why did we not gazette before giving it out? So that if, anything should happen, then it becomes difficult for us to trace and to find out because you don't have the records being gazetted. Why did it happen the way it did? And have you put measures in place to prevent the occurrence of this infraction that the Auditor General picked up?
It's a very interesting question. Why did that happen? It happened because those who were at the helm of affairs didn't implement the law as it's supposed to be implemented. And that was why those infractions were, those infractions came up. People had concessions when they didn't need it. There's evidence where some people have concessions that they didn't need it. They didn't even know where the land is. And so we have reviewed the small-scale licenses, like I said earlier on, about 1,200, close to 1,300 licenses were reviewed. And when we reviewed them, about 907 irregularities or infractions were identified. We further checked and realized that some were administrative in nature. And so those that were administrative in nature, we asked Minerals Commission to resolve them themselves, which they did. But as I speak to you, just last week, about 278 small-scale mining licenses were revoked. They were revoked because we found that a lot of irregularities that you cannot even resolve were the reasons why we have to revoke them. For instance, if you were to go through the process of getting a small-scale license, you go into a software called MCAST, where you put your application. Where you are going to do this mining, the community will have to be involved. And so the officer there will have to write a report. And in that report, the officer is supposed to recommend whether to give that concession or not. We found out that even in so many cases where the officers had said that don't go ahead, these are the reasons why I'm asking you not to go ahead, some officers went ahead and approved and gave out those concessions. We have revoked them, and we challenged them to take us to court. Again, there were instances where a concession is so close to a community. Indeed, if you were to mine, you end up mining within the houses of the people. And so the officers professionally recommended that do not give out these concessions. They were given. And so we have revoked them. In other instances, there's a high tension line running through the concession, and the officer will say that do not approve. These were approved. We have revoked them. There were instances where the chiefs will sit in their palaces, and then somebody will walk to them, and on their face will just fly a certificate. I've received a letter from Minerals Commission to come and mine, when the owners of the land were not consulted. And that's not what the law says. The law says that you must involve them, you must consult them. Now we have received quite a number of petitions from chiefs when we took over, and so those were also investigated, and they were part of those that we revoked. So what we are saying is that we will sanitize the system and let people who really want to mine come and take those concessions in mind. We have evidence where you have people who have come for concessions and now went around looking for people to sell it to. That is not what we are asking for. And so such instances, we have revoked them, and we want those who want to do mining to come, go through the process, get your licenses, and whatever support that the government will give to you to go and do your mining, you do it. People are occupying spaces, and others are looking for spaces to mine, and they're not getting. And those who are occupying those spaces are not miners. So these are some of the challenges that the system brought up, and with the help of the technical people at Minerals Commission, EPA, Water Resources, Forestry Commission, the committee involved, all of them. And so we have come out with, at least for now, 278 that we have revoked. Just yesterday, one of them petitioned that his application should be reconsidered. And so I read it. And what he said was that, yes, at the time that the license was given, the infraction that you raised, indeed, we didn't meet it. But after your revocation, we have now gone to resolve it, so restore us. However, what they forgot is that the process of approval is contingent on that particular item that you didn't satisfy. And so, such a case, we are not going to restore them. We will create that space for Ghanaians who are interested in mining and who are committed in mining to come and take the licenses in mine.
Thank you very much for that elaborate explanation. And I pray and hope that we live by what we say. Minister, I also want to find out from the Minerals Commission what it takes to conduct geological investigations in a particular area and how it is done.
So that would have been a question that would be addressed by the Ghana Geological Survey Authority. It is their mandate to identify these mineralized areas and then pass that information to Minerals Commission. They are supposed to work collaboratively. And so they have the technical know-how, they have the equipment, even though not adequate, and so they are the professionally mandated people who are supposed to go out there and get these mineralized areas identified. And that's, as I said, the minister spoke to Gold Board, and Gold Board agreed to advance some money and some resources to them so that they can go around to get more places for our young men and women who want to go into mining. I just returned from China a few days ago where I met with a Chinese company. I went with my colleague friend, and we made a case that we need that particular company support Ghana, and for that matter, support the Ghana Geological Survey Department, Authority, to be able to identify many more mineralized areas. It is glad to announce that on the 17th of this month, they will be coming down, and they have made a commitment that they will be supporting Ghana Geological Survey Authority so that they can go out there and get more areas for mining.
Okay. Minister, usually before geological survey comes in, Minerals Commission takes certain processes. So I want to know, how do you choose a place or identify an area for geological investigations, to take place?
There are traditional, some orthodox ways of identifying that there's a mineral deposit here. For instance, the community themselves. You wake up, it's rained heavily, and they are picking particles of stones and suspecting that there's a gold deposit there or any other minerals. That can give you a lead to know that you can investigate this area and see where there's any mineral deposit. Let's don't also forget that Ghana didn't start today. And so there are some indications of where some mineral deposits are found. And the documents are there. All you need to now do is to pick it and then do proper investigation. And then you'll be able to tell that here you have gold, and beneath the gold you have copper. There are places where you go and say that you are looking for, you suspect that there's gold. You get the gold, and then beneath the gold, you end up getting a different mineral. The minerals can be on each other in layers. And so there are so many ways you can identify an area and do proper investigation to be able to tell which mineral deposit is there and the quantity or the quantum of mineral deposit in those areas.
So, like you said, by the locals themselves and sometimes based on documentation. Beyond that, how else do we find, and for the Minerals Commission, once they identify these things, what are the steps that they take to sort of establish these?
So what I'm saying is that if I want a place to mine, and I have this basic information that there's some some gold ore deposit here, I put in an application.
The Minerals Commission doesn't come in at all. It's the individual or the person who has found the deposit who takes that initiative. That is what I want to know. So the person who has found the deposit or the person who knows is the one who takes the initiative. Or that's what I want to know.
We have mineralized areas that have been blocked out. That Minerals Commission is aware of them. So they are blocked out areas. And those blocked out areas come up as a result of some investigations that would have been done by the geological survey or private surveyors. And so you have that map. And that is why in some cases, Minerals Commission will say that these areas are blocked out areas for small-scale miners or for cooperative mining. So that is there. And so once this information is available, you can now apply and then choose the particular area that you want. But it's important to also state that those investigations may not be thorough. And so you will need to do further checks before you are able to tell the quantum of mineral deposit.
Minister, the further checks should be done by who, the individual or Minerals Commission?
It is the individual.
It's the individual?
Yes.
I'm asking you all these questions because in my constituency, in one particular town, we have a deposit of some natural resources. That's why I'm asking that if it's a Minerals Commission and then the individual has to write officially to Minerals Commission, we do that. Or if it's the individual who have to take on the cost of finding out what is there, the quantum that is there, then we also know what to do. So that is why I'm asking.
I think it's a mixture of this. I mean, if a whole community decide that they want to know the kind of mineral deposit they have within their area and they apply to Minerals Commission can work with Ghana Geological Survey Authority to establish their expectations or their suspicion or whatever is there. That is different. But if I'm a businessman who wants to invest, I want to get a large-scale mining license, I would have to invest in the geological work so that I'm able to tell that this is the quantum of gold deposit for which I want to invest.
Minister, they tell us that the land is yours, but the natural resource in there is not for you.
I mean, they are not the ones telling you. It is you, the lawmakers. This is a constitutional matter you have raised.
Yes.
The Constitution says that mineral deposits.
So that is why I'm asking you whether the individual on his or her own can undertake all this, or it has to come through the Minerals Commission. Because if the law says that the natural resource in there is not for you, the individual, even though assuming you own the land, that's why I'm asking, so that my people will hear and then we will know what to do to bring all the stakeholders on board for us to benefit.
Before I allow my technical report to come, I want to understand the question very well. Your area, there's some mineral deposit there, and somebody wants it. The person wants to invest. The person wants a large-scale mining concession in that area. The person suspects that based on some documentation he has seen or the behavior of the community in terms of what they are doing there, that there's some ore in that area. And so he expresses interest. Is it the case that you are saying that you want to find out whether it's the community that will find out and get this deposit for him to come in, Or you are saying that as a businessman, Minerals Commission must be the one to help him get the details?
I'm seeking your advice on what to do.
I'll let my acting CEO speak. I mean, I'm sure if you listen to a different voice, you get it.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think you are thinking about or talking about an ideal situation that as a country, we should have gone ahead to drill the country and understand what we have. So we can actually go to the negotiating table with better terms. That is not what we have. What we have is the investor would come in and ask for, so there are stages and various licenses that you need to obtain. You start off with the reconnaissance, which they will give you a very big area. At that point, you don't touch or break the land. You do your geophysics, you pick surface structures, which would indicate wherever the mineral resources is. Then you will come back to the commission. You shed off the other areas that you don't want, but you still share the data with the commission and geological survey. Then the area that you demarcate, now you come in for the PL, the prospective license. That is when you can start to pick certain samples. And then forward that you continue to drill, which is the exploration, to establish the ore body, before you would come out to say, this is the reserve that I have, and I need a mining lease to be able to work that. So it's quite an expensive process. So for the large companies, usually like Newmont will say, they just threw in about $1 billion to build a Ahafo North mine. It started about 10 years ago. So luckily, there are some of the areas, these large companies, the type of deposit or the amount of deposit they find in the area is not commercially viable by their scale, but it will be good for small-scale mining. Then we block out those areas quickly for our small-scale mining. So when you come in, there will be some amount of data, but it's not comprehensive. But what we are doing now is we've gone ahead to start some of the drilling, and that is what Minister mentioned, some of the areas. And we have even also gone ahead to release about 20 blockout areas to Gold Board, which they have, given the money is not in yet, but they have assured us the money to be able to drill out those areas. So we can start to build the smaller model mines to be able to take over what is currently happening, which is illegal. So yes, if we had the money as a country, we would have done our own drilling, and the investor comes and we say we want 70%, come and build the infrastructure and take it. But that's not what we have. So they do all that, and then we take the 10% free stake interest for the nation. But I think we are going past that now. Now certain laws are helping us, things like the contract mining, which we are using locals to do the mining. Now it's building capacity. And in no time, we should be able to have locals to be able to own mines. And I think it has already started. So we are somewhere, but I think we are going in the right direction.
Thank you, Minister. It's expensive. I mean, very, very expensive. But my community and I will come and see Minerals Commission and Minister yourself to help us go through the process.
I want to find out whether there's illegal mining taking place in your area.
Oh, Galamsey is rife in the Etiwa districts, okay. Both Etiwa East and Etiwa West. And I'm sure those two districts are not the only districts across the. We just heard of Shidiem and all those things that happened a few days ago. So it is real. But if, like you saying, I was thinking of the ideal situation where Minerals Commission does everything. But in this situation where Minerals Commission does not do the ideal thing that we all think because of lack of funding and a whole lot of other things, it becomes also challenging, very, very challenging. when individuals have to go get to a certain stage before Minerals Commission comes in, it becomes very challenging. And I believe that that is also part of the reason why we see what we are seeing in our mining areas.
Let me put on record that the ideal is not for Minerals Commission to go into geological work. The ideal is for us to provide Ghana Geological Authority enough logistics to be able to map out all the mineral deposits in this country so that we have a comprehensive data of that. And that can be a source of revenue for this country. Now, they can keep it. When there's an investor who wants to go into lithium, he wouldn't go exploring and testing and doing all these things. What he would do is to go to the authority. And then the authority will now provide the data. Based on that, he's able to say that I have chosen this place, I've chosen that place. In fact, it should come at a cost. And then he can now use that to apply and go through the process. Like he said, you go in for a recognizance license, or you take you 1 year to get it. That's where you now bring in the other agencies. You bring in EP. That's where you now bring in the other agencies. You bring in EPA. You bring in Water Resources Commission. You bring in Forestry Commission, and all those who matter. The District Assembly, the chiefs, all stakeholders are brought on board. Once you do this, the issues of community rising up and fighting miners, large-scale companies, will be a thing of the past. It's because we don't go through the process and go through it very well. But I want to assure you that we are reviewing the large-scale licenses. And again, my able minister has asked me to chair it. Very soon, we will revoke some of those licenses that people have just taken and blocking space and are not allowing people to, those who mean business, to do their business. We will revoke them and then give it to those who want to do business with them.
Thank you very much. Minister, I think I'm satisfied with the information you have provided. The community and myself will come to Lands Commission and Minerals Commission to do the needful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Minister, just a follow-up. So, in your narration, your earlier narration, you mentioned that if somebody is interested in mining in a community, it needs the community's involvement in the approval process. The law that establishes, is it for Minerals Commission or EPA? I just need that clarity. I say this because there's been instances where people want to engage in small-scale mining, or I don't even know if it's galamsey or small-scale mining, would come to a community and claim that they have gotten documentation from the Minerals Commission and any other body involved. Without the community's involvement, they begin mining, and that creates a problem. So I want to understand, you mentioned an officer that needs to approve at the base. Which officer is that? Who is responsible for it? Then also, the bit about the community's involvement. I want to understand what our involvement is in the process.
You are just collaborating what I said earlier on, and that's due diligence and going through the processes hitherto were not done and done well. And so your question is whether or not the community take part in the approval process. The Constitution says that all mineral deposits, are being kept, and put it that way, by the president on behalf of the people. That same law, the Minerals and Mining Act 703, also made provision that in the course of giving out those leases, the community must be involved. And so the District Assembly, for instance, will have to be involved. And the officer responsible for, let's say, the District Minerals Commission officer must also be involved. In some cases, it's region, but they go to the district and involve even the chiefs, the landowners. And so we have what we call gazetting. I guess to a point where you have to gazette, and then you go and paste all the necessary documents of an area that you intend to give out, and to find out whether that land is already being used by somebody and all of that. The truth of the matter is that we hide very relevant information from the people. And so you go and see a notice posted somewhere is diagrams. Excuse me to say, the chief in my community cannot interpret it. It's there for 2 weeks. And then you end up saying that we gazetted, we posted the maps and everything there. We have satisfied the law. We are going ahead. That is not the right thing. It is for you to interpret the maps to them and let them ask you questions. So that if I already have cassava or yam or cashew on that land, I can ask for compensation. Then you give me my compensation and you go ahead. So it is important to state here that stakeholders are supposed to be part of the approval process. That is clear. And so if there's anybody who goes to the community, like I said it earlier on, the chiefs are there, the youth, everybody is sitting there, and then they'll just go and say that we have received a license from Minerals Commission, we are coming to mine. And once they say that they have a document, and once the people know that the deposit there is the president that holds it, and this is an agency that is working for the president, then they slack, and then they go ahead and do their own things. That is even dangerous.
Hello and welcome back from the House of Parliament, where the Lands Ministry took its turn at the Public Account Committee sitting. Up next, though, we have Newsfeed. Do stay with us. Hello and welcome to Newsfeed on Channel 1 Television. I'm Nashika Caesar. Coming up, Office of Special Prosecutor summons GRA boss and top officials over SML scandal. Also coming up, residents of Sapeiman, Pobiman, call for the construction of footbridge over rising accidents. Coming up in business, 82.6% of banks confident Ghana's financial system will remain stable in 2026. And later in sports, Sports Minister Kofi Adams takes steps to boost sports revenue. Now to our first story, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, has summoned the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, Anthony Sapon, the Assistant Commissioner in charge of Finance, Celestine Annan, and the Technical Assistant to the Commissioner General, Kenneth Ejedria, to appear before the investigators in connection with ongoing inquiries into the controversial GRA Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited SML Revenue Assurance Contract. The summons follows the arrest of Freeman Saba, the acting head of legal affairs at the GRA, on Monday for his alleged involvement in corruption and obstruction of justice related to the same contract. According to OSP sources, the three senior GRA officials were directed to appear after it emerged that they allegedly instructed the acting head of legal to issue a letter to lawyers for SML at the company's request in mid-October. Sources at the OSP further noted that this is the second time the Commissioner General and the Assistant Commissioner for Finance have been invited. Their earlier statements reportedly contradict the content of the letter they are alleged to have authored or approved. Away from that, a member of the New Patriotic Party NPP communications team, Alfred Thompson, has attributed Ghana's recurring revenue losses and corruption scandals
I do not believe that we need someone to come from outside. I do not believe that we need someone to come from outside to come and say that I'm going to plug in to correct and check. Because in everything we are doing, we have inputters. We have those who authorize. We have those who audit. So I want to say that the authorizers and the auditors do not check their work. They are not doing their work, and we are still paying them. We are still paying them.
Now, residents of Saipeman, Pobiman and adjoining communities in the Ga West municipality of the Greater Accra region have staged a demonstration to demand the immediate construction of a footbridge to ensure pedestrian safety. According to the residents, the absence of a footbridge along the main road linking the communities to Amasaman has led to frequent fatal accidents involving residents, mostly school children, while attempting to cross the busy stretch. The protesters, who carried placards calling for government intervention, lamented in an interview with Channel 1 News the seeming neglect of their plight by authorities despite several appeals.
Since they are not willing to listen to us, we have to do the needful for the president to listen to us. Saipeman need improvement. We need a footbridge for our kids because we have a lot of children which they have been crossing the road, and that is our main issue.
We are not demonstrating against the government for any other thing than footbridge. Our school children need to cross the road. Our children need to go to school. The agent has to go out. The market women have to go to market. We need footbridge. Our story is simple.
Now, responding to a petition from the protesters, the municipal chief executive of Ga West,